Hey, it's TDA, and today I want to share with you this amazing little game called Railgrade. This game puts you in charge of an expanding railroad empire where you manage not just trains, but also the needs of your factory's workers, passengers, and deal with all kinds of challenges in the process. In its core, this is a management game where you optimize your production chain. The story itself adds a welcome bit of flavor to it, and it's actually pretty entertaining. Now, I'm going to show you the core mechanics and some gameplay, but just so you know, the game should be out by the time you watch this, so if this sounds interesting, head up to Steam and pick it up. Now, I'm not going to show you the details of the first few levels as they are very straightforward and act as the tutorial. Nothing special there, but I do like it when a game takes the time to explain its main concepts, especially if it does so in a concise manner, which this game does. As always, each level you complete leads you to one or more levels with added complexities, but you also get some replayability out of every level for several reasons. First of all, the levels are timed, so you can take as long as you want, but if you manage to complete the level within a certain time limit, you get a better score, which rewards you with vouchers. These vouchers are used to unlock several upgrades that will carry on to the next level, so there is an incentive to actually complete these levels more efficiently and optimize your gameplay as you do so. You can also replay levels with certain modifiers enabled. Some of these will make the level easier, some of them harder, but most importantly they give you yet another reason to play a level more than once. Alright, so let's jump into a level and see if I can beat the best time, and I have a little spoiler for you, this is not the first time I've attempted this level, so this game is a lot less easy than it might seem at first glance. Hey Yoshida, our lawyer secured you a license for the Generalist Workhorse engine from Westminster Tech. You should have already received a notification. I'll assign you a new region which might prove more of a challenge. Sorry for the distance, I'm not good with maps. Not hard, just keep the basics of economics in mind. Perhaps the most important of all, build multiple railways. Alright, well let's do exactly that. We're still kind of in the tutorial phase of the game at this point, but that is actually helpful so you can kind of get a grasp from what's going on. This is a city. Cities provide workers that can be assigned to the various industries under your control. The number of workers you have access to is dependent on the population of a city, and select city by pressing the button. Let's do that. You can increase the population of a city by fulfilling its demands, resulting in more workers for you. You can see here that the city demands are water, salt, wire, or steel. When you're ready, press backspace. So it has a current population of 55. We need to bring it to 128 for the next level, and then we'll get some more workers. You can actually use a catalyst, which is energy, to speed up this process, but the main thing is that we're going to need to supply one of these materials in order for the city to actually grow. Okay, so cities have needs, we just saw that, and to start, the water pumps west of the city can meet the level 0 demands. Once the city levels up, you must also supply energy. Until then, any energy you deliver will catalyze the city to grow faster. Okay, so let's see what we have to work with. Zoom out. We have a voucher exchange over here, which you can use to exchange vouchers. We have a bank, which we can deposit money to get some interest return, as long as we don't need the money. This is a good thing to do because, well, we get 7% interest. We have a power plant over here that will be able to produce energy from oil. I think, yeah, we have an oil well over here. We have some more oil on the ground here. Some water as well. Plenty of water actually, and some more oil. And then what is this? Is a water pump and another water pump. So, step 1, we need to build ourselves a track to bring the water to the city. Now, there is a lot of different ways in which we can actually do this. You can use water to actually catalyze the power plant, so this production speed goes up. Could be worth it. At the same time, that does mean we need to move uphill over here. While if we build the track something like this, we keep everything nice and square, and then a loop back, something like this. Now I do need to actually build a little circle like this. Oh, that actually doesn't look too bad. Then we need to add in some loading stations, off and unloading stations. This one needs to be fairly quick because I do think we're going to use this for multiple purposes. And then of course we're going to need a train. So Let's use a workhorse engine. Which one is faster actually, the custom engine or the workhorse engine? Have them both acceleration, but the custom one is actually slightly faster. Now I just added in a whole bunch of things that I didn't want to add, but we're going to add in one. And let's have 4 of these water thingies, which is exactly the same as the maximum storage on a pump. There we go. Look at the little train driving. Now what's really interesting about this game is that it looks kind of like the Wild West, but it's also futuristic, so it has a lot of things going, which I think is really interesting. Now we can probably use a second train because this production is going to be fairly quick, and you can actually clone trains. You don't have to redesign your train every single time. You can just clone ones you already have, put them on the same track, and you're once again good to go. This is a bank. Bank is going to give you access to additional budget to do it as you please. Yeah, we kind of figured it out by now. However, what is important is that we can see your revenue over here, your cost. Everything you do build costs something, so you need to make sure that you're actually making more money than you're spending. The interest, as you can see, adds up a lot, so don't spend any money unless you really need to use it, or at least you're making sure you're going to make a profit from doing so. Speaking of which, this water production is fairly low. We do have another water pump over here, so we could add another track to utilize that. Okay, so I added in a second train for the second water pump that is actually going to drive around most of the same track, but veer off at this intersection, then drive in this little circle, and then add in over here. It does cross the track a few times, but considering we only have a couple of trains driving around, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, I hope. Okay, so our city is growing quite nicely with all of these trains we now have driving around, so we're going to need to produce some energy. We do that by transporting this oil to the power plant, and then the energy that the power plant is going to be making to the actual city, and or to, for example, the water pumps, because we can actually speed up the water pumps by supplying them with energy, and you can speed up the oil wells by supplying them with water. So there's a lot of intricacies that you can have going with optimizing your production chain. Keep in mind though that you have very limited money, and building trains and tracks and stations and stuff like that is actually pretty expensive, so you want to make sure that you don't overdo it, because you're going to regret it and get into kind of a death spiral if you spend too much money, or at least if you spend more money than you have and take on a loan and things like that, because that interest does add up, like it's adding up in the positive sense right now. So let's see. Let's build first a track for the oil. Okay, so nothing too special here, just a simple circle. I did make sure that we keep the track entirely level, because if it goes up and down, it slows down your trains a lot. And we're talking about efficiency here, so that's not what we want to do. Actually, I don't want that one, I want this one. We could actually go for 2 smaller trains just to make sure we kind of optimize the throughput. Do I want to make 2 or 3? Actually, if we're going to make a train anyway, we might as well make it slightly bigger, because these actual cargo pods don't cost anything. So making a small train is probably not a good idea. Now, in order for this to actually produce something, we're going to need to add in workers like this. So we have plenty of workers to do so, because we already have 11 to spare. Now we just need to make sure that this entire chain of production is actually going somewhere. Oh look, the city has leveled up. As population grows and city level up, they gain additional demands. Well, let's see what the city wants now. Hey look, it wants the energy that we're already preparing. So we need to make sure we start producing energy as quickly as we can. Luckily, oh look, fireworks. That is exactly what we were working on. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Let's do it by adding in another circle like this. This is actually going to have a train drive up the hill to the power plant like this, and then downhill and combine back with the actual track and deliver all the stuff to the city. Now, actually going up and down makes trains, like I said, really slow, at least going up. If they go down, they should speed up. I think we'll see that. Just a little bit. But actually, yeah, the train actually just had to wait a little bit for the train. There's no train accidents as far as I've seen so far at least. You can actually ghost trains through each other, so if you have them driving in opposite directions, they will actually pass through each other, but they do slow each other down immensely if you do that, so it's not necessarily something I would recommend. All we need to do now is make sure that we keep the city above the 128 limit, that should not be a problem, and produce some more energy. Now we have 6 more minutes to actually complete this, and I do want to make sure that we make that, so let's add in maybe 1 or 2 more oil wells and add in another track to supply more power to the, or more oil to the power plant, and make sure we keep up the speed in terms of production. Now in order to speed all of that up, we can actually upgrade our industry over here. That will not allow us to add in any more works, but it does increase the production speed, and more importantly, it also increases our storage, so we can actually make sure we can deliver all the oil, and if needed also stockpile a little bit more energy, so it doesn't just stop production while it's waiting for the 4 that initially are able to be stored to be picked up, but it can actually keep producing as we go. And there we go. Victory! However, I missed the mark by a little more than 1 minute, which means I only get 4 voucher, while if I would have met the 20 mark minute, I would have gotten 5. Now this is a perfect example of why I think this game is actually interesting, because even though this is like my 3rd attempt at this level, I still didn't actually meet the best time. Now, does that matter? No, I can just keep playing, I can do the next level, so if that's not something that is interesting to you to beat those times, then by all means you can just play the game as is. As you can see, the sea level is actually 1 hour, but it's a nice little challenge, I think, to kind of optimize your gameplay, and it does help you to actually get better at the game, because if you just beat the challenge every single time you beat a level, as in work towards actually beating that challenge every time, you will get better at the game, which will help you in the next levels, and so on and so on. So it kind of encourages you to challenge yourself and think about different ways to approach the game. So I hope you enjoyed this one. For now, this is where I'm going to stop this one, because I do want to make sure this comes out on the release date. Let me know in the comments, do you want to see more about this game? If you do, I really hope so, because I actually think this is a really fun game. But if not, let me know as well, and I'll take that into consideration. If you're still here, you're awesome, and I hope to catch you in the next one.